Hi there and welcome to this podcast. This is going to be an interesting one because I want to talk to you about the 6 S's in success. The 6 S's in success. Listen up.
Sell, Serve, Prosper Radio with Lee Farnell.
Hi there and welcome back. Now this is Lee Farnell here and I'm sitting here looking at a newspaper article that was in the West Australian newspaper just yesterday, and it's all about David Warner. David Warner, who, in case you didn't know, was in trouble a couple of years ago with the sandpaper gate saga in South Africa when he, was involved in cheating. Basically, they were cheating. They were rubbing sandpaper on the ball, and he and 2 of his other players were kicked out of the Australian team for 2 years. Brought great shame on the Australian team, but at the same time there were tears, there were upset, there was all sorts of potential even mental breakdowns, but these guys have bounced back. But Warner didn't play well at all in the Ashes series in England last year, but has come back and just scored 300 runs. And I just want to read some of the really interesting components to the story, thinking of when we talk about the 6 S's for success. I want you to think about, 1, the story he's telling himself. What is going on in his internal world to allow him to bounce back, to recover, to rebound, to come from the darkest of darks, where he's literally almost exiled from his own country. All sorts of things are written about him in the newspaper, and his wife. These guys went through, denial, anger, bargaining, frustration, depression. They were in anger, frustration, depression for quite a long time, and now Warner's come out the other side. Not only did he accept his fate and accept the decision, but he's gone to new world view. In other words, he's turned the curse into a blessing, turning the negative to a positive. So what story did he tell himself, and what was his self-belief? What was his self-belief and his self-talk? So if 1 is story, 2 is self-belief, 3 is self-talk, but 4 is who you surround yourself with. And we say surround yourself with supportive people, because you need the social support systems, which is a whole 3 other S's. 1, story, 1S, story. 2, self-belief. 3, self-talk. 4, who we surround ourselves with, social support systems, supportive people. And 5, what is my state? Do I feel empowered, strong, happy, sad? Do I feel in control, out of control, depressed, suicidal? Because my state will determine my performance, and I need to be in the right state. And of course, the other component is S. The other S, the 6th S, is success. What success looks like. So in David Warner's world, success would be rebounding back and playing super well, hitting great numbers, and being accepted by not only his teammates but by the Australian public. What was his vision of success? How was he using? Anyway, a great article here by John Townsend. And Townsend said, David Warner, this is it, quoting Dave's deep well of belief, the West Australian, Monday, December 2nd. I just thought such a great case study in rebounding and bouncing back. David Warner, quote, I'm reading John Townsend in Adelaide after the Adelaide Test, which the Australians won so convincingly. David Warner never stopped believing. Not during his year-long ban for ball tampering, not during his dire Ashes campaign when his 95 runs at an average of 9.5 was the worst return by any batsman in a 5-test series. Revelling in a work ethic that saw him face 400 balls in the nets in the weeks leading into the first test at the Gabba, a commitment to daily runs with athlete wife Candice, and a determination to play with greater discipline and self-reliance, Warner has started this summer with a ferocious resolve to dominate the Australian cricket landscape. Scores of 154 and 335 not out against Pakistan after 5 unbeaten innings in 6 2020s suggests that Warner has rediscovered the formula for remarkable success. It is rare to find a successful Test player who is not armed with the level of self-belief beyond the scope of ordinary people. It is one of the key elements that sets the stars apart from those whose feet remain on the ground. Warner's self-belief is stratospheric, as he explained in a calm, measured and contemplative comments in the aftermath of producing Australia's second highest ever Test score. No, quote Warner, no, I never lost my belief. What kind of question is that? Warner said as he chided a journalist on Saturday. At the end of the day, you are going to have people who doubt you. Through that whole Ashes campaign and that whole series, I always said I wasn't out of form, I was out of runs. I say this not just in hindsight. If I had my time again, I would not have changed my guard. It sounds like he changed his feet position change. I would not have listened to some external noise. I would have backed myself more. And bat where I have been here outside off. In other words, leaving the ball patiently, getting bat and pad closer together under my nose. And I am capable of that. The triple century has taken him to 6,947 runs at an average of 48.58, with Don Bradman's tally of 6,996, his next target, before he becomes the 12th Australian with 7,000 runs. Yet as Warner celebrated the pinnacle of a career that has experienced Everestian peaks and troughs, he was already looking for the next phase that could see him abandon at least one format of the game in a bid to extend the others. He is becoming more conscious of his legacy in the game, a factor that might have a bearing on whether he resists the temptation to provide a candid tell-all account of what happened in Cape Town with the Sandpaper Gate last year. Warner is 33, has been a regular in all three international formats for nearly a decade, as well as plying his trade as one of the Indian Premier League's biggest names, and knows he'll soon need to make a call on that in the future. And he talks about he hasn't really decided on what he's going to do there. He'll make that decision after next year's World Cup. In other words, how he prolongs his career and gets the most out of his body. Maybe there's an opportunity for a youngster to come through. In other words, I'll create a space for the next generation to come through. But let's just go to the next part. He said, I pride myself on my fitness. If I am away from the game and not in the nets, I am on the treadmill or running the coastal walk every day. My wife gets me out of the house and we walk every day. I love being outdoors and working on my fitness. I've done a lot of technique work on sprinting on my first 5 steps, whether batting or fielding, and I'm always trying to emphasise that in the team. Okay, so I've talked to you about the 6 S's. Now let's take a look back. What was the story that Warner was telling himself? He never doubted himself. His story was, I'm not out of, what did he say? I'm not out of form, I'm out of runs. So what's the story you're telling yourself in terms of your success? An empowering story that's helping you, a disempowering story. Change your story, change your results. What about self-belief? It starts in the inner world. Your belief in yourself. You are good. You do have potential. You do have ability to create magic. Stop thinking small. See yourself as bigger. You know, what did Walt Disney say? If you can dream it, you can do it. Self-talk. What are the little mantras you say to yourself? I mean, even there, I'm not out of form, I'm out of runs. And then I love doing it. And what do I do on a daily basis? My daily discipline. I run the first 5 steps. Not I go for a run. I'm concentrating on the first 5 steps. In other words, this is why what we do in our 7D strategy is we deconstruct best practice. We decode and deconstruct best practice so that then we do deliberate practice. So as Warner, the first 5 steps. He also realised in terms of debriefing that he'd made a change to how he actually did his guard, and he moved position, and that changed everything. He listened to external influences, he changed his success pattern based on feedback, and he paid a heavy price for it. Story, self-belief, self-talk. Surround yourself with supportive people. Clearly, Warner and his wife Candice are a very good team when it comes to training, inspiring, helping each other, being supportive of each other, and therefore the state he goes out on the ground in, or the state of each day, is I'm getting better. I'm emphasising those areas I want to get better at, deliberately practicing. And what does success look like? Well, clearly it was to get back, make runs, make a series of runs, stay in, get his form, get his run rate back, and now it's going beyond Donald Bradman's runs, and then beyond that, what will be his legacy? So what will be your legacy? I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk today talking about the long game, playing the long game, not just trying to make money in the short term, but to, in fact, what will be my legacy? What is the footprint I will leave on this planet, whether it be in sales, leadership, with family, with my community, with my church? What's the footprint you're going to leave? So in these Self-Serve Prosper podcasts, it really is about selling yourself first. What is the story you're selling yourself first? Lee Farnell, what is the story you're selling yourself? You, dear listener, what is the story you're selling yourself? If it's not a good story, rewrite the story. Take the yellow legal pad, take the piece of paper and go, hey, if my story is going to have a great ending, then what will it look like? Write it down. Do the exercise. Today is a blank sheet of paper, which again, starting the day, what are you doing to write down what you're going to do at the start of each day? What's the story you're going to tell yourself at the start of the day? And of course, at the end of the day, how did you go? Debrief. What went well? What good did you do today? I was watching someone talking about Benjamin Franklin and Benjamin Franklin's day. And at the start of the day, starting with the question, what good can I do today? And at the end of the day, what good did I do today? Discipline, self-belief, the story, the self-belief, the self-talk, surrounding yourself with supportive people, your state, what you're focusing on the now. 6 deep breaths. 6 deep breaths. Get back into the now. Empower yourself, empower others around you. And if you want further insight and help, touch base. We've got an online academy that can help you empower yourself and empower others with the language, the tools. In fact, this Saturday I'm going to lunch with one of my clients. My wife and I are going out to Sandalford to the Lamont's restaurant because Carol Ann and the team at Easy Visa have said, Lee, the coaching has been so useful with the team, our sales, our service, our teamwork, our productivity, our effectiveness, our efficiency, the business has gone to a whole other level. I just want to say thanks. Please come and join us for Christmas lunch. So you want some of that in your business, then, Newton's law says for every action there's an equal opposite reaction. Nothing changes without a force. So mobilize the force, get coaching. All great athletes have a coach to help them get from point A to point B, help them get from point A to point B quicker. Whether it's Roger Federer or whether it's Tiger Woods or whether it's Nadal in tennis, you think of any great athlete, it goes on and on. Everybody has a coach. Why? Because the coach sees things in you, in your behaviours, in your possibility that you don't see, and challenges you and holds you to accountability to help you perform and realise your full potential. Want to find out more? Touch base. Thanks for listening. See you next session.
If you'd like to take your own or your team's sales skills to the next level, then enroll now for our free CZ6 Sales Challenge. For 6 days, you'll get daily access to a short video that summarizes one of the color modules in our revolutionary Color Zone selling system. This is exactly the same system that has been the cornerstone of our incredible success as sales trainers, which has generated an estimated $150 million over 300 companies since 1985. And we're confident the Color Zone selling system will produce outstanding sales results for you too if you apply it. To get started with the CZ6 Sales Challenge, visit www.sellserveprosper.com to register now. That's www.sellserveprosper.com.
Well, in that podcast, we wanted to talk about some of the keys to success, the 6 S's in success. And we used David Warner, the cricketer, who hit a fantastic innings and, in fact, won man of the match in the Adelaide Test against Pakistan just the other day. It inspired me, that story, about how the inner world shapes the outer world. Our outer world is a reflection of our inner world, and Warner and his 6 S's, something we can all learn from. Want to find out more? Touch base. Want to help you sell more, serve more, prosper more. Thanks for listening. And by the way, do share this with your friends. Share it with others. Like, subscribe. We want you to be part of our Sell, Serve, Prosper community. See you next time.
Start a sales revolution in your business. SellServeProsper.com.